Hello everyone. In this video, we will discuss about income redistribution and its rationales. Scarcity is the underlying topic throughout the study of economics, and considering the fact that there are limited resources and infinite wants, there will always be the problem of scarcity. Scarcity is the reason for the difference between the rich and the poor in society, and this difference is termed as the income gap or income inequality. The purpose of income redistribution is to solve or at least minimize the gap between the poor and the rich. So let's look on what is income redistribution. Income redistribution is an economic practice which is aimed at leveling the distribution of wealth or income in a society through a direct or indirect transfer of income from the rich to the poor. Economists or governments adopt economic policies and strategies like progressive taxation to implement this phenomenon. Considering the social vices and the cost of extreme poverty or the negative effects an extremely widened income gap can have on a nation, economists across the world try their best to close this gap or maintain a positive difference.
Difference between income redistribution and redistribution of wealth. It is important to recognize what income redistribution is and what is not. Many misconceptions of income redistribution to be same and redistribution of wealth. Wealth redistribution refers to the seizure of assets from the rich in society and distributing them to their poor members in society. Unlike wealth redistribution, income redistribution does not take away the hard-earned properties of people. Income redistribution uses strategic economic policies to transfer income from the rich to the poor, and it does not involve forceful acquisition of people's assets. Misconception. There is a wrong prescription that income redistribution is aimed at making incomes equal by taking it from those who have more and giving it to those who have less. However, the aim of this is to avoid a perilous income situation which proponent economists describe as unreasonable to extreme inequality. There is a feeling that their systems are designed to punish the rich. It may feel like that, especially when you fall among the classes of the rich and you have to pay higher rate than others. However, this taxation procedure, if done with proper administration, serve the overall benefits of society and economic growth. It creates a large consumer market class which has adequate money to spend on goods.
Now, let's look on how is income redistribution done. There are various approaches to income redistribution. Some involves governments while others involve organizations and individuals. A more common example or approach to income redistribution is the progressive tax system. Many countries, if not all, have adopted the progressive tax system whereby people who earn above certain calibrated amounts of income pay higher tax rates. This way, the rich end up paying about 5 to 20% more on their income than the ordinary or poor citizens pay. Over the years, income redistribution has not been done by governments alone. Organizations and especially religious bodies embark on charitable activities. Members of these organizations voluntarily give out parts of their income to the poor in society, and this too is another form of income redistribution since it serves the same purpose. Redistribution of income, how it can be done. If the government wishes to reduce inequalities, it will increase progressive direct taxes and reduce regressive indirect taxes. It will also increase transfer payments paid to lower income groups. In addition, it can increase its own spending on measures that will help reduce inequalities. For example, it could spend more on education and training as this will help people to earn more in the future. Transfer payments. These are benefits to citizens that are paid out of tax revenue. They are called transfer payments as the money is transferred from taxpayers. These include job seekers allowance, child benefit, and tax credits. How to reduce inequality? Redistribution. This involves changing the current distribution of income through the use of taxation and transfer payments. It helps to reduce poverty and makes the income distribution more equitable, but it doesn't necessarily address the main causes of income inequality. How to reduce income inequality? Increase minimum wage. Raises the income of the lowest income earners and should therefore reduce income inequality and poverty. Increase incentive to work. Only affects the lower income earners, doesn't address the cause of poverty and inequality. Yes, boosts low paid incomes but doesn't give the low paid the opportunity to gain better jobs. How to reduce inequality? Policies to increase equality of opportunity and social mobility. These recognize that some people have lower incomes as they have not had the same opportunities as other members of the society. Investing or improving education, etc., should help people to gain the qualification and skills that enable them to gain higher paid jobs. Disadvantages, disincentive effects. But there will be other effects on the economy. In particular, there might be adverse effects on incentives. High direct taxes may have adverse effects on the supply side of the economy. High benefits may reduce incentive to work. High progressive taxes may also reduce incentives to work and may reduce incentive to work hard and try to get a better job if people know 40% of any extra income will be paid in tax. The aim of income redistribution is to reduce inequalities of income so as to create a fairer society. Less poverty. Income redistribution also aims to provide every family with a basic standard of living so as to prevent poverty. Reduces cost of inequality. May improve quality of labor force, education and skills. Increased aggregate demand. Lower income earners have a higher MPC. Changing patterns of demand may benefit some businesses mainstream. The impact of redistribution on business and economic welfare. Against disincentive effects, high benefits may reduce incentive to work. High progressive taxes may also reduce incentives to work and may reduce incentive to work hard and try to get a better job if people know 40% of any extra income will be paid in tax. Higher tax earners leave UK. Some high tax earners may move abroad to escape the tax and then the UK government loses tax revenue. Disincentive to invest. High tax on businesses act as a disincentive to invest. The poverty trap. Poverty trap or unemployment trap. A situation where a person reduces his or her net income by taking a job or gaining a higher wage, which disqualifies him or her from claiming social security benefits or raises his or her tax liability. When taking a job, people may have high childcare costs, may lose access to benefits such as free school meals, Current government policy, tax credits. The government has changed the system of tax credits to incentivize work further. The government has pledged free health school meals for reception and years 1 to 2 from September 2014. The government used the budget to announce that a new tax free childcare voucher scheme would be introduced in autumn 2015. Tax free childcare was expected to provide parents with tax savings of up to 1,200 per child each year. Income distribution and tax structure. Empirical test of the Meltzer-Richard hypothesis. The Meltzer-Richard hypothesis that more unequal income distribution will create a majority for more redistribution has generated much research but little empirical support. The empirical literature has concentrated on cross country studies and the studies of the public sector, and the results broadly do not indicate more redistribution with more inequality. These analyses suggest that the hypothesis should be investigated in a more homogeneous setting with comparable institutions and with an explicit decision about redistribution. New data on poll tax and property tax in decentralized government in Norway are exploited. We show how the multidimensional decision can be analyzed as majority rule assuming intermediate preferences. In the econometric analysis, instruments are used to account for endogeneity of income level and income distribution. The estimated model supports the understanding that more unequal income distribution implies a shift in the tax burden from poll tax to property taxes and thereby gives more redistribution. Now let's look on some of the objectives of income redistribution. The objectives of income redistribution are to increase economic stability and opportunity for the less wealthy members of society and thus usually include the funding of public services. One basis for redistribution is the concept of distributive justice, whose premise is that money and resources ought to be distributed in such a way as to lead to a social just and possibly more financially egalitarian society. Another argument is that a larger middle class benefits an economy by enabling more people to be consumers while providing equal opportunities for individuals to reach a better standard of living, seen, for example, in the work of John Rawls. Another argument is that a truly fair society would be organized in a manner benefiting the least advantaged, and any inequality would be permissible only to the extent that it benefits the least advantaged. Some proponents of redistribution argue that capitalism results in an extreme externality that creates unequal wealth distribution. Many economists have argued that wealth and income inequality are a cause of economic crisis and that reducing these inequalities is one way to prevent or ameliorate economic crisis, with redistribution thus benefiting the economy overall. The view was associated with the underconsumptionism school in the 19th century, now considered an aspect of some school of Keynesian economics. It has also been advanced for different reasons by Marxian economics. It was particularly advanced in the US in the 1920s by Waddell Catchings and William Truffant Foster. More recently, the so-called Rajan hypothesis posited that income inequality was at the basis of the explosion of the 2008 financial crisis. The reason is that rising inequality caused people on low and middle incomes, particularly in the US, to increase their debt to keep their consumption level with that of richer people. Borrowing was particularly high in the housing market, and the deregulation in the financial sector made it possible to extend lending in subprime mortgages. The downturn in the housing market in 2007 halted this process and triggered the financial crisis. Nobel Prize laureate Joseph Stiglitz, along with many others, support this view. There is currently a debate concerning the extent to which the world's extremely rich have become richer over recent decades. Thomas Piketty's Capital in the 21st Century is at the forefront of the debate, mainly focusing on within country concentration of income and wealth. Branko Milanovic provided evidence of increasing inequality at the global level, showing how the group of so-called global plutocrats, that is, the richest 1% in the world income distribution, were the main beneficiaries of economic growth in the period 1988 to 2008. More recent analysis support this claim, as 27% of total economic growth worldwide accrued to the top 1% of the world income distribution in the period 1980 to 2016. The approach underpinning these analyses has been somehow critiqued in certain publications, such as The Economist. Peter Singer's argument contrasts to Thomas Purgis in that he states we have an individual moral obligation to help the poor. The rich people who are living in the states with more redistribution are more in favor of immigrants than poorer people because this can make them pay less wages. Now let's look on some criticisms. Public choice theory states that redistribution tends to benefit those with political clout to set spending priorities more than those in need, who lack real influence on government. The socialist economists John Remor and Pranab Bardhan criticized redistribution via taxation in the context of Nordic style social democracy, reportedly highlighting its limited success at promoting relative egalitarianism and its lack of sustainability. They point out that social democracy requires a strong labor movement to sustain its heavy redistribution, and thus that is it is unrealistic to expect such redistribution to be feasible in countries with weaker labor movements. They point out that even in the Scandinavian countries, social democracy has been in decline since the labor movement weakened. Instead, Romer and Burden argue that changing the patterns of enterprise ownership and market socialism, obviating the need for redistribution, would be more sustainable and effective at promoting egalitarianism. Marxian economists argue that social democratic reforms, including policies to redistribute income such as unemployment benefits and high taxes on profits and the wealthy, create more contradictions in capitalism by further limiting the efficiency of the capitalist system via reducing incentives for capitalists to invest in further production. In the Marxist view, redistribution cannot resolve the fundamental issues of capitalism, only a transition to a socialist economy can. Income redistribution will lower poverty by reducing inequality if done properly, but it may not accelerate growth in any major way except perhaps by reducing social tensions arising from inequality and allowing poor people to devote more resources to human and physical asset accumulation. Directly investing in opportunities for poor people is essential. The distribution of income that emerges from competitive markets may be very unequal. However, under the conditions of the basic competitive model, a redistribution of wealth can move the economy to a more equal allocation that is also called Pareto efficient. So that's all about our topic. Thank you.